Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build With ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss, and she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build With ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing to be free. I'm here to work. Been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt, yeah.
Well, we've got everybody excited and pumped up this episode already a little bit, so I'm glad that we're able to bring it in right after we said we did. We've talked about getting Tony Penna on from Penna Construction, ICF contractor, three generations ICF contractor down in California, and so we were able to put it together and get him on here. So Tony, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, you bet.
So we talked about on the last episode that we met. Is JJ your nephew or son?
He's my nephew.
So JJ came and worked with us for a little bit at the booth down at the Rebuild Palisades show and got to talk with him. I've been following you guys for a long time on social media and seeing everything you guys are doing. You guys just do awesome work. I mean, crazy great projects and all over the board. And so been kind of excited to get to meet you guys and talk with you and everything. But for the listeners that don't know, why don't you give a little introduction of yourself and the company and how you guys got going in ICF?
Yeah, sure. So I started in 1976 in the construction industry, and I started with my dad, and he's a masonry concrete contractor. And then my brother Joe came into it about 8 years later. And then in about 1998, we went to a training on ICF to learn how to build with it. And back then it was Blue Max.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a 2-day training, and we were open-minded about it, but we kind of dragged over there by our ready mix company. They wanted somebody to go and go do some training and see if they can drum up more business in concrete, which made sense. So we went to the training, and when we were done with it, it just kind of blew us away on what you could do with the ICF. And we started thinking about all the different projects we've done and the ones coming up that we could, use the ICF in. And it was mainly for retaining walls. We did a lot of hillside foundations in Laguna Beach, and everything was, you dig into the hill, you put big retaining walls up, and then you step back and you dig in again, and it just keeps going. And then, so I had a contractor that we did about 20 homes in this one area in Laguna, and I introduced the product to him, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "I'm all for it." He goes, "When am I going to get, extra out of it as far as benefits?" And I said, "Well, we're going to give you a pour in place wall, which everybody else is going to bid the same thing, but I'm going to give you the furring strips on the inside, so you don't have to do any wood furring on the concrete, and then you can just attach your drywall right to it, and also gives you a chase for plumbing and electrical. And then the backside is just, a water-based waterproofing system, just like you would anything else." And he was real excited, and he said, "Man," he goes, "and how much is this going to be, versus?" And I said, "We're going to be less because I do it all. I mean, I do the regular plywood forms, and I do masonry." And I said, "But this is coming in cheaper because it's less labor, and we're not stripping anything when we're done. It stays on, and you're going right to it." Anyways, that's how we kind of got into the ICF industry. And you have to be open-minded. Anytime that you try a new product, you're a little bit skittish because you don't know, is this a fad? Is this going to go away? Is this something that's that's going to catch on? I mean, so the way I looked at it in our company was, my dad was old school. He was masonry, and everything was all. I mean, they used to pour, yards and yards of concrete with a mixer and a wheelbarrow. But, this was a system that, saved labor. It gave the end consumer, the customer, a better product, a better system, and a better wall. And when we started doing it, I started looking at the benefits, the amount of the less labor that we needed to erect these walls. And I thought, well, we can keep our overhead down. We don't have to hire as many guys, and we can do more work. And sure enough, we did 20 foundations up there. We were actually doing 3 foundations to 1 foundation of the traditional, because we had a guy next door using another system, a regular pour and place system. And they were about the same size homes. We did 3 of our foundations compared to 1 of his. So, eventually, when the white stuff goes up, people start coming around and asking questions. What is this stuff? So, now you're doing public relations, where you didn't think you'd be doing that. But it's a very interesting product to get into. And I'll tell you what, once we started, I haven't looked back, and I've enjoyed every bit of the work that we've done, and I look forward to the next job. I mean, where can you say that doing regular concrete or, anything else, masonry? I mean, you don't, you get excited about this stuff because the benefits and what you can do with it. So anyways, that's how we got started. We're, 27 years into it, just into ICF. We actually became a dealer for Fox Blocks, and that was pretty much because we were the kind of the last contractor on the West Coast, the lowest of the state, and nobody else was doing it. So back then it was Blue Max, and they said, "Hey, look, would you become a dealer just so that you guys could carry product and get the alignment system, and then also help other customers build their projects?" And I said, yeah, I don't mind doing that. And I said, I'm getting a better price on it anyway, so I might as well do it. So that company is called Forming Solutions. So we established that company, which is our dealer company, in 1998. And basically, there's no employees. It's just you're looking at them.
Right.
I mean, it's me. I mean,
different hat.
I'm
Yeah, you
Forming
switch
Solutions.
hats.
Yeah. So
I do the same
do.
thing.
I mean, yeah, during the week, if I've got Forming Solutions orders coming in, I take care of them. But the nice thing is our company right now is 3 principals. It's myself and my brother Joe, who's a year and a half older than me, and JJ, who is the next generation to keep this going. So yeah, we're really proud of the projects we've done and in the direction we've taken with ICF. And like I said, we kind of got drug into it by a guy by the name of Randy Daniels. I know you know him.
Yeah, he's a past guest on here. Yeah,
and
on.
So when we talked about it the other day, he's like, "God, we're going on 30 years," and I go, "God, isn't that amazing?" And so we're reflecting back to the days of when we started and how little we knew and all that, and it just it snowballed into this great thing that we're doing and we're still doing. So yeah, that's kind of our company right now. We're continuing doing projects. We do less commercial, but we do a lot of high-end residential and a little bit of light industrial stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. This is such a small industry. We when you're in it for 27 years for you. I'm going into 24 years. It's like I started and we have all such similarities. Like Randy Daniels was the beginning for me because I started right when Blue Max was just rebranding to ARCs, and so literally my first books and paperwork and install manuals were Blue Max, and then literally I got a month later we got all the ARCs coffee cups and ARCs. I think I still have some of the ARCs graph paper pads, we just started getting inundated with all the ARC stuff, and then and Randy actually sent me over to Mike Dalzell over in Bend, Oregon, and we did all of our first training doing all the that mill district in Bend, Oregon, where we're working on that forever, and that's where I stacked my first blocks. So, but yeah, those guys have been a part just forever. Both of those guys are previous guests on the podcast. I had them on since they're kind of my original OG guys.
Yeah.
but yeah, and kind of cool to hear your story. I mean, my son's been on the podcast as well. My son is 21 years old, and he's kind of the next generation and is out stacking block and even doing consulting jobs now, which is funny to me, but I've been doing it longer and he's been alive. So the kid's been around it forever. And it's pretty fun when I get somebody and I say, they talk to me on the phone or whatever, they hear the podcast and they call and then, we'd like you to come and consult on this. I'm busy, but I could send my son out. He can come consult. And, they're expecting to see a 30 or 40-year-old guy come out and, this 21-year-old curly headed kid comes out. But he's done it all and he's done some of the craziest jobs. So, it's fun to watch him just take on projects and get excited about stuff. He's also a welder and fabricator, so he's been integrating a lot of structural steel into ICF jobs, which is a great fit for people that are doing large spans and stuff like that. So they just finished doing some big staircases and steel reinforcements in some ICF walls. But yeah, kind of fun to see the second generation after doing it for so long and hopefully getting my hands out of the mud a little bit and off of the scaffold, is the hopes. But
I'm trying that too. But
I still find myself up there pumping mud every once in a while.
I know it's funny because you get on the job and you know what to do and you just go right to it. It's just kind of automatic. But you know what? It's awesome to see the younger generation come into this, and we really need that. I mean, that's one of the things I think. If someone were to ask me, what do you need in the ICF industry right now? And I'm going to tell them that we need new people. We need installers. We need more people to get excited about it and start making a career or business out of it, because there is a lot of opportunity. And I mean, I can tell you right now, I have nobody around me. There's no competition. And one of the bad things about no competition is that customers, they want to get 3 bids.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're getting a bid from me and I'm local, but then they got to go out of the area to get 2 more bids, well, those bids are going to come in a little higher because of the per diem that they have to charge to be out of their territory. And so, but I've been struggling. I've been trying my hardest to get new young contractors involved. And I do have a couple people in San Diego that I've gotten going. And, it's so hard to tell people what an opportunity that they're handed, you know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't have to worry about that because I already knew that I was going to have work and I was going to create work, but they don't understand that yet. They think, well, I can do anything, but I don't, I'm going to be a carpenter. I'm going to be, a concrete mason or whatever. And, but they don't realize that this is an industry that's growing so rapidly that they could jump into now and be one of the pioneers, almost a pioneers of getting into it. I mean, we're still at the infancy of this industry. And I know when I was started, you would say ICF and people would kind of look at you cross-eyed like, what's that? But now people are coming to me and saying, oh yeah, I've heard about ICF. Yeah, that's that new stuff. I go, no. This stuff's been around almost 60 years. So, if we just educate a little more, and I know you and other people like Randy and of course Mike's retired now, but all of us need to, everybody we talk to in the industry that is starting out and is either a framer or a concrete wall installer or whatever, we should be approaching them going, hey, why don't you start thinking about using ICF? Because in my area, we've got huge basements. I mean, I'm in Dana Point, and there's an area here called the Headlands, and they're putting in 5,000 square foot basements with 10-inch, 12-inch poured-in-place concrete walls. And I'm going, why aren't we getting any of those? Because architects don't know about it and engineers don't care about it, period. You look at an engineer and ask him about it and he'll go, well, no, I'm just going to do the traditional, they're not going to look into it. So I know the industry is changing slowly on that end of it, but I really wish that it would speed up a little more and just, because we need to give that option to these end users.
Yeah, I think the exciting part for me is I'm pretty active with the National Association of Home Builders. I sit on some councils for them and got involved with the Building Systems Council with the NAHB. NAHB's got almost 150,000 members in the United States. And they reached out to me and said, hey, we think we need to have a ICF education course on our website on NAHB.org that people can go look up, because we're getting that much activity about it. So that was a real eye opener for me, because like I said, coming from the same, situation you did, sitting in home show booths trying to explain to people that this isn't a styrofoam cooler, it's actually to build your house out of, or how your house is going to stand up with styrofoam, and you're like, it's not, it's 6 inches of concrete inside or 8 inches of concrete inside. So like trying to explain it to now having the National Association of Home Builders, the largest building organization in the country, reach out to me and say, hey, we'd like to have you do a 101 course, which you did and posted up, and it's out there now for people, and it gets quite a bit of views. The other thing is we have a president of the National Association of Home Builders right now, Buddy Hughes, who has been an ICF builder previously. He's a builder from back east, but he's done ICF. He's aware of it, and it's kind of funny. When he was coming into his presidency, Carl, the previous president, and I were talking, and he's like, "You got to be excited. There's a new president coming in. He's an ICF guy like you, and so like we were, and I'm like, yeah, I have, and I to be honest, I haven't cashed in on it yet. I will be with all the national guys here in Denver in November, and I plan on pinning Buddy down and seeing if I can, in between his Congress hearings and things that he does that are a little more important, see if he would do a little podcast with me on it, because it is, we're trying to get it out there. I think the obvious thing, that's the whole purpose of this podcast. It only costs me money. I don't get paid to do this. That's why it sometimes is a long time between episodes, because I'm out stacking block and making money instead of recording. But we are trying to get the word out there. That's the whole reason of the podcast. That's the whole reason of some of the social media stuff we do. And I know you guys do a great job on social media. If we can get these kids figured out, and that's why the reason I had my son on the podcast was it was a bunch of him and his friends who are young installers. And I wanted them to get the voice out of like, hey, this is really good money. And we just got done with a project that my son hired 4 of his buddies, and all 4 of them were like, you can pay, you can pay me this much money to do this. And it was just like, they were just having fun, and my son's paying them more than they can make at their other job by $10 an hour more than they were getting paid. And then my son, kind of throws it in their face and says, well, yeah, imagine how much I'm getting paid if I'm paying you this much, And it was one of those things where you just try to get that through some of these young kids' heads. Like, this is a niche market that can get you, and unfortunately, I think that you need to be able to travel a little bit if you're not in a big metro area like you guys, or like the Feder brothers and these guys that are in a huge market that can keep busy, really busy. But I know in my area, every installer I know can, as long as they're willing to travel 3, 4, or 5 hours away from, their home or whatever, there's always jobs. I'm getting calls from people all the time. So I'm with you. It's got to be the industry needs to get installers out there. I've spoken with several of the guys at the ICFMA that I think that needs to be something we focus on. We talk about it with different individual companies over and over again, for sure, about doing in-person trainings and hands-on training and stuff. And so I think it'll be good. I think if we get there, I think that'll be awesome, because we are seeing more of it. A great example was this show down in Palisades. You guys lost almost 7,000 structures down there in that fire. It was 6,800 or whatever it was. And people were walking into that event. Like, the reason they were coming to the event was to build a fireproof house, right? That's what they were saying. Like, we're done. Why do it? You guys got to be seeing the effects of, like, fire is probably one of your bigger, motivators for people to come knocking at your door. I would imagine. I've beat this to death, but that video or the picture of the houses in Malibu, people up here in Idaho say, well, I raked all the leaves away from my house so it's safe. I'm like, Malibu had a highway on one side and a Pacific Ocean on the other, and they all burned to the ground because they burn from house to house. Yeah. It's not the fuel. The fuel's the house. So what are you guys seeing? Are you guys trying to get involved with that at all? Or how's the fire thing working for you guys down there?
Yeah. So I don't know if JJ told you, but we did build the first Type 1A fire-resistant home in Santa Clarita back in 2021. And we actually got an award on it at World of Concrete to the ICFA Association. And it was the Palos residence. We built it. because they actually lost their house in a fire. The owners did. So it was Ryan, Palos and his wife, and they had two daughters, and they actually watched their house burn down on the Channel 7 NBC News.
Wow.
And they were devastated. I mean, after seeing something like that, first of all, you're looking for a way to rebuild without that happening again. So the first thing he did was got online the next morning and put in fire resistant homes, and of course our name popped up. So we ended up building their house. They're great people, and it was a great job for us. But we can say that we actually built the first fire resistant home. There's a lot of things in there. I mean, we literally use no wood. So there's a lot of things that went into it that, we had to change and do differently. Products I've never used before, but we got trained on them. The roof system, we use an AWIP roof system, which is a all weather insulated panel. And, we did steel joist rafters, for the roof structure. And then the rest of it was ICF, and we used an ice band floor system, 4-inch concrete. But so we have the experience and the knowledge and what to do. We just need people to trust us to, build their home the way that it can be built without burning down. And so yeah, going back to your original question of like, what are we doing to kind of take on these calls? And I'm telling you, I've had a lot. I was getting about 3 or 4 a week. It's down to about 1 or 2 a week now. But these people are interested, either whether they're architects, they're mostly owners and architects that are calling. The contractor never gets involved in it until they find somebody, and that's the other issue. So what I did is, or our company, JJ and I and Joe, my brother, we connected with a contractor that's been doing ICF for about 15 years, and we've done all their ICF projects. And we asked them if they would just be the ICF GC or general contractor and work along with us so that we can go in and get these projects and build them the way that they should be built. Because if you don't retain the GC, then what happens is the owner architect will go find a GC and they'll immediately start trying to talk them out of using ICF.
Agreed. Yeah.
For several reasons. And the number one is, those are way expensive. That's going to be twice as much. But they don't know. Yeah. And I get it. They're just throwing that stuff out there and they're not ICF people. So, which is a shame, because you really shouldn't be doing that. But we'd lose a few of those. So then we just decided, hey, we just need to get a team. So we built our team with Cole Development down in Temecula, who builds beautiful homes. I mean, Bill Cole, the dad, it's a son and dad, group. And the dad back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, he must have built 500 homes down in that area. Some tracks, some not. But then he started getting into the ICF and realized that's the type of home we want to keep building. So we've done a few homes with him already. And I just did a tour of one we did in an area down in Marietta, and with actually Randy Daniels came in as the manufacturer to walk through this home. And he was amazed at the detail, not just the exterior, but the interior. Because the exterior, you look at it and you really can't tell it's an ICF home, right? I mean, it's stuccoed and it's got trim and stuff around it. But the interior, when you walk in that front door and, you feel it. And of course, it was 90-degree day. And we walked in and the owner said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have the air conditioning running right now." Well, it was like 70 degrees in there. Right. And we're like, you don't need air conditioning, but this is wonderful. This is what I wanted to bring the manufacturer in so that they could actually say, yeah, we've walked through these homes when they're done, and they do everything that they say they're going to do. I mean, they perform just like they're supposed to. The owners, of course, they're just ecstatic about their home. They just love it. I mean, we have a tour. We're going to enter it in another awards thing, next year, but we're doing an ADU on it right now for the grandparents. And so, yeah. So anyways, we built this team and we're very happy. And we've already got secured 5 homes. There's 2 in Altadena, and then there's 3 of them scattered out between San Diego, and we have one in Palm Desert. But at least we have the team where we can make the architect or the owner comfortable that you only need this one group, and you don't need to worry about going out and sourcing, an ICF guy, the general contractor and all that. So anyways, that's what we've done to kind of catch up. And we're really getting a lot of calls and a lot of response with this. So it's working out really well.
That's awesome. And we'll definitely, all this is going to be tagged in the show notes and on the social media post for this. So anybody listening that wants to reach out, then you guys will have all the contact info and stuff to get a hold of Tony and everybody at Penna Construction. But that's the key is like, because like I said, the one thing you bang your head into for, over 20 years now is that kind of, the people trying to prove you wrong. Like I mean, I've been on the technical side of it for so long to, as far as being asked to go sit at like engineering conferences. If anyone asked me to do that again, I'll probably just hit myself in the face with a hammer and call it a day, because that was about what it was like being. I mean, it's just, and I know we have engineers that listen. I love you guys. I love my engineers, and I love talking with them individually. But boy, I have sat in enough of those conferences, and it's just a line of guys trying to tell me why something doesn't work. And I'm like, why are you wasting your time standing here trying to get me to tell you all the thing, and it's like, and I kind of feel like that bleeds into some of the other areas, right? Like we started our own drafting company because we were so tired of hearing, drafting companies and architects tell us, oh, we don't do that. Yeah, we don't do that. You should just do stick frame. Well, okay. Well, I started my own company, and now we have a drafting company with multiple drafters that draw just ICF plans. I mean, it's created a business for us. And so, we get that same thing, and then it bleeds into the general contractor that says, this doesn't work, and these are all the reasons, and they come up with some of the most outlandish stuff. And and I try to tell people, like, you've experienced it, and I've experienced, you've experienced it way closer being involved with a build on that house. But I've been involved with a bunch of builds in Paradise after that fire. I've been involved with multiple different fire rebuild or situations. We did the rebuild the ridge and all that, rise the ridge or raise the ridge or whatever they called it. But anyways, talking to people who lost their homes, it's heartbreaking. I mean, being at this thing at Palisades and having people walk up and tell you about how they're just trying to pull everything together and get the insurance money done and just build their house. To be a builder that could sit there and look somebody in the eye that just lost their house, that family that you knew, or or any of these people, and say, yeah, I could have built you a house that wouldn't have happened, but I didn't, because I didn't want to learn something new. That's just, you should think about that. And if you're okay with that as a builder, I don't know if I like that. That you have to look at things that you have an opportunity to build better and offer your customer. And if nothing else, let your customer be the one that makes the choice to say no, because then if something catastrophic happens like that, you're at least got a clear conscience knowing, hey, I offered him to build out of ICF and this wouldn't happen. If you're in a fire area, if you're in a hurricane area, if you're in a tornado area, different things like that, there is an option to build better. And especially in Southern California, you've got a company like you guys who will walk you through the whole thing. There's no excuse. It's not like they have to learn anything. All they got to learn is your phone number, and they can get it done. So it's frustrating. I get kind of on my soapbox about it because I think people in our industry, and I'm saying the entire building industry, not just ICF, I think they owe it to the end users to build the best possible house they can, whether that be energy efficiency or safety or affordability or anything you can do. I think your job is to provide them the best possible option. And ICF is going to be it, whether you like it or not. But there's so many options now for us to help you. I mean, I travel around pretty much anywhere. I've got bookings all over different states for me to do consulting with contractors who are like, hey, I don't know anything about this, but my homeowner wants it. And if you're willing to come down here for 2 or 3 days and walk me through this, then let's do it. So I think people are open-minded to it. I mean, it's finally coming around a little bit, I hope. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you guys are rolling that way. I am going to jump to our questions here that we always kind of ask people, because I think I'm sure you've got some good answers to this. But in all these years you've been doing it, and I apologize to everybody that's used to hearing Heather's voice on here, which is a lot better than mine in hearing these questions, but she's out working and making money, so I can sit here and podcast, but she was unable to join today, so I get to ask the questions today. But we always start out with these, or end with these 3 questions. The first one being the most memorable experience that you can think of in ICF, just something memorable since you've been in the ICF industry.
Yeah, so that's funny when when you told me about that the other day and I started writing stuff down, it really was the first thing that hit my mind and it always is, and I'll always go back to it, but it's the very first job I did. And my first job was we actually got it through the concrete company, and it basically we hadn't built anything yet. So there was this company that was they were basically a sound studio, and they were renting out, spit time for people to go in and rehearse and record and stuff. And the company was Go for Baroque, and it was a nice lady and a gentleman who owned the company, and they were building these wood sound rooms in a warehouse, and they found this product, and so anyways, I got the call, and they said, "Hey, do you want to build these 3 sound studios for this company?" And I said, "Well, I've never done it, but yeah, I'll give it a try." So this is a 19. So we got started in 1998 with the training, and literally that year is when we got the call for this because I hadn't really done anything up to that point. And so we ended up building 3 20 by 20 sound studios right next to each other with a 6-inch gap between the walls. And they were out of the 6-inch form, the walls were 9'4" high. And we built, so my brother and I and one other guy, so 3 guys, we built these in 3 days and and we poured them. And I'm telling you, and with the help of Mitch, I gotta give Mitch Gillum. I mean, he was from Pismo, and he was a dealer with Blue Max, and that was my closest guy. And let me tell you, that guy, he really got me going. He gained my respect in the fact that he was willing to drive down with his trailer, bring the alignment system down, stay there 3 days with me, and teach me how to do this. And he wasn't making that much money. I mean, they were making money off the form a little bit, but I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And it's so I really have a lot of respect for Mitch, and he came down and he showed us how to do it. And after we got going, he kind of stood back and watched us, and and he says, "Man, you guys got this." I mean, it's so then he helped us pour it, and no kidding, I got the best letter that I've ever gotten in my whole career from these people. They sent me a letter stating how professional we were, how great the product works, how we came in and did it efficiently. And their sound engineer went in and he did testing after we were done on the quality. His sound engineer said he's never had a better sound room ever built. And the only place they were losing a little bit of sound was through their roof. And I told them to put blocking, around in their joists. They used 2x12s. And then I said, put blocking in there and fill the blocking with concrete. And I said, then you won't get anything out of it. And they did that. And I still had the letter on my wall. I mean,
That's awesome.
it was just one of the best letters you could possibly get from a customer. And after that, I thought, man, there must be something to this stuff. I'm going to keep going with this stuff. So that was my, that's, I think, my most memorable experience.
Yeah, it's still sitting on your wall. It is definitely a memorable experience. It's so great.
We've done a lot of, interesting projects and big projects, but that one just kind of, hits me hard because that's the one that got us going and got us believing that ICF, there's something about it that really works and really makes you want to do more of it and really learn all about it. And that was the job. It was Go for Baroque in Westminster, California.
That's awesome. And it's one of those things. And I think almost the one universal thing that people say is just you hear it over and over and over again when people first get into this and they say, why isn't everybody doing that? Like, it's just it's almost like people are confused why it's not just everywhere. Like, why isn't it so cool? Like, whether you're stacking with it, like I said, my son's buddies at 21 years old, they're like, this is fun. Why aren't we all doing this to the homeowners that live in a house and they come to you 2 years later and they go, I can't believe how quiet and how you use the word feel all the time. And it's amazing because if you haven't lived in an ICF house or, spent time in an ICF house, you don't understand why we always say that. But once you do feel it, you feel a difference in an ICF house. And so it is cool because that experience got you started in something that now you're passing on to next generations as well as I am. So that's a very cool memory. Question number 2 we always ask is what do you see? There's all kinds of cool stuff, and I throw out ideas to people just because I there's so many different things I think that I'm excited about in the future, whether it be, the we're using fiberglass rebar now. We're using the MST bar, which is a structural fiberglass rebar. Unfortunately, it's not rated on the seismic D yet, but we're getting close, and hopefully you'll be able to use it in California in your walls. But like, that's super awesome. It's light. It sizes down, so we don't have to use number 6 or 7 bar. We can go down to 5. There's Helix out there that a lot of guys are starting to use. There's a lot of really cool products out there and cool things. I don't want to label it just to a product, but what do you see kind of cool in the future of ICF moving forward?
Well, I think that educating people, on a better alternative to build is what I look forward to. Building more projects, obviously for our company, but for ICF in general. Hopefully building codes will come up to speed, and especially with the fires. Losing 9,000 or 8,000 homes in one area and 3,000 in another in California is devastating, and it's never happened before. Well, why aren't these building codes people that come up with the codes go, well, maybe we need to look more into this, and we need to figure out a better way to build so these things aren't happening. So I guess advocating to, maybe the California Building Code System, the UCB of California, or even the country would help too. And I know people are working on that. And, I as a contractor, I can't advocate anything because, we're basically building with it. We want to do more of it.
Right.
We think it's great. Of
course you do. Yeah, of course you do. But
what I see is I see people losing a home when they shouldn't. And I see us building a wood stick frame home and lasting 30 to 40 years. And then it termite damage, dry rot, and whatnot takes over. And why aren't we building like they do in Europe? Or why aren't we building, castles and homes that are going to last for centuries and generations? Right. Because really, isn't that what you want to do is pass on your home to the next generation and one after that? Well, in order to do that, you want to make sure that home is still going to be there. And I think that with ICF, we're onto something as far as trying to maintain that. But, doing that, and then also, like I said earlier, sending our next generation in the ICF world for better home builds. Like what you did with your son is awesome. I've known other contractors that are bringing their young, their sons and people into it. Even I see a lot more women getting into it too. And, we need everybody that is willing to, look into, this is their generation right now. And this is this isn't the future. This is the present. We're talking about now. We're talking about what we should be doing now, not looking into the future saying, oh, that's the future. No, it's not the future.
Yeah, the future's happening right in front of you right now.
Right now.
It's right now.
So we need to get on board with that. Even fire departments. When I was building the home in Santa Clarita and they found out it was a fire resistant home, they came to that job site in their fire engine like 3 times, and their crew walked around, and I gave them tours, and they were they were excited because now when there's a fire in that area, they know they don't have to cover that house.
Right.
They know they don't have to go and work hard to save that house. In fact, they're going to use that house as a shield. The fire departments, water departments, you go down the list of all the people that are going to benefit from this. And we got to stop thinking about ourselves and just our direct, like I'm a contractor, I just want to build and make money. No, I want to build a home that's going to last and, last for generations. And I think that and our company sees that, and we talk about that a lot, and it's not just about our future, it's about everybody's future. And that's really what we're interested in. Yeah, I don't make any money when I'm doing this or when I'm out training somebody or, talking to people about it. But you know what? As long as we are, giving that spark and telling them, hey, there is a better way to build out there. So we've done it. Let me tell you about it. That sort of thing. I think that's going to help, and just getting the young people involved. And yeah, so that's what I look forward to is seeing more of this going on.
Yeah, I think, and a little plug for, the National Association of Home Builders. One thing I'm very proud of is that one of the councils I sit on or committees is talking about the YP program, Young Professionals, and what they call the Build Up Youth program, which has been catching on around the country, where they're teaching trades to kids. We're creating a new committee just to talk about bringing young people into the trades, and that goes, obviously ICF, this is one of them, but I mean, just trades in general, just trying to get youth, the youth into it. And we recently did a thing at a junior high, not even just a high school or a trade school or a VOTEC school. We went down to a junior high level with tradesmen and started talking to these kids in, 7th, 8th, 9th grade about, letting them come out. And my son took his welding equipment and they were touching off some welds and getting to do some things. And we had the ICF there, all these different things like people can do. I really encourage everybody to get involved with your local building contractors association and get involved in that, the Build Up Youth program or the YP program that they have, and get out there and give back a little bit to the younger generation and let them learn what you're doing. Cause like I said, they don't know till we show them. And a lot of that is that. So I think that is our future. And I think that gets me excited. And I like just when I get on a job and see young guys doing ICF, because they all seem to be having a blast, and it's pretty fun, and I know there's a couple guys that listen to this podcast that do not like the term Legos for big kids, but I like that term. I know they get angry when I say that, but I just think it's fun, and it's fun to watch a bunch of, younger kids throwing around, styrofoam Legos and building a house. So it's kind of cool stuff. So our final question here, I kind of like to just, you've already done this. I think everyone's really got a good feel for what you guys do, but I just like to end on a note promoting you guys and promoting your companies and what you do. So kind of tell the people, because I do know we have quite a few followers in California, that's how we ended up at that Palisades deal, is through our followers and our listeners. Give them a little pitch for Penna Construction and why should they use Penna Construction?
Yeah. I mean, Penna Construction, is forward thinking for the best way to build homes. I mean, we're also kind of, in our area, we're the most qualified in ICF in all of Southern California. So, like I said, we started back 27 years ago, but we've done a lot of projects and we can do anything. I mean, our company, between my brother and I and my nephew, we've been in all situations. We've built underneath existing homes and, held up houses to build ICF. What we've done it all.
Yeah.
We did a 108 room assisted living project in Escondido, California. I mean, that was one of the largest ICF projects on the West Coast at the time. And we're a small company. We only have, 7 guys, but we can ramp up. We're willing to listen to whoever wants to do something. And we're here for, our knowledge to them so that we can help them with their project. Where, like I said, there's 3 of us. One of us is always on the job site. We don't just throw a bunch of people out there and walk away. We're very involved, all 3 of us in the company. And like I said, we've won at least 6 awards through the ICF Builders Award Show. And, we've done anything from a super small home to a large project, large homes. But anything with concrete, masonry, or ICF, we've either done it or we know how to do it. And I just think that anybody in this area that is looking to do an ICF home, please come and talk to me. I mean, even if you're not going to do it or you're just trying to figure it out, I'd be glad to sit and chat with you, and give you some insight. But yeah, we're in it for the long haul. So we're not just a blow and go contractor. We're very dedicated to what we do, and we care about what we put out there.
Hey, you're lining up things for JJ's kids, you got to get that fourth
Absolutely.
generation in there. So,
Yeah, that's right.
well, that is awesome. And I can't tout you guys enough. Like I said, I've got to follow you from afar just through, social media, and obviously seeing you guys at the builder shows and the award shows and stuff, and always seeing you guys up on stage winning awards and things. Do you guys have anything for this year?
I don't think so. I think we're going to wait till the ADU is done in
Cool.
the Marietta project, and then Randy says they're going to take a photographer down there and they're going to do a whole thing on it. And then, but yeah, I don't think anything for this year. But yeah, we like going to that the ICFA awards banquet thing. It's a great. I mean, it's people from all around the country. I mean,
It's amazing. Yeah.
actually the world, because we had people from different islands,
Mhm.
and Bahamas and different places. But yeah, it's really, like you said, it's a small community. It's a small world when it comes to ICF. I know almost everybody in the industry now. I mean, because you talk to people and you see stuff on Instagram, and also you go to these awards and you meet everybody, and it's really a great group. I mean, they're very dedicated individuals and people that do terrific work, and it really stands out. And that's really what we need in the industry, is we need people that are paying more attention to what they're doing, and how it's getting done. But ICF has just been a great avenue for us.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening that's not aware, the ICF Builder Awards are during the World of Concrete. It's usually on the Tuesday or Wednesday night of the World of Concrete,
Yep.
but you can get any information on that. It's actually run through ICF Builder Magazine. If you want, you can go to ICFbuildermag.com or ICFmag.com. Anyways, if you look up ICFbuildermagazine.com, you can get in there and get information and get invites to that to track that. But go into World of Concrete, and especially that event is, if you're in the ICF world or you want to get in the ICF world, there's not a better place. I made every year I go, and every year I make new connections and talk to new guys and stuff. And so it's been really good. And especially since doing the podcast, it's been really beneficial, and started writing, an article for the magazine, and that's, helped introduce me to some more people. So yeah, it's amazing opportunity to be there, and it's fun. I've got a couple awards sitting over here on my shelf that we've won over the years, and it's always a proud moment when you get up on stage to do that. We don't have anything this year either. We'll be represented next year. We've got a couple projects, like you said, that we're getting some photos of and going to submit, so that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, this year's going to be a spectator sport, but still great to go in there and meet up with everybody. So, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Tony. This has been great, and like I said, very, very excited to do this episode. So this checks a checkbox for me to get you on here and be able to introduce you to everybody out there that doesn't know who you guys are, and hopefully create some more followers for you guys. And I'm going to put everything in here contact wise for you guys into our show notes and into the social media stuff, so everybody can reach out to Tony that has a question. And I know we have a lot of listeners down there in Southern California, and a lot of them that lost homes, and I can't give you a better guy to reach out to help you through that process and hopefully make it better for you, for sure, and make sure this doesn't happen again. That's the key here, is we want to make sure this doesn't happen. And for every house we put in ICF there, we're going to save 3 or 4 more behind it when it, even if they don't, stick frame houses behind it end up getting saved. So, I mean, every time we put one down, we're going to save 2 or 3 more. So that's really a positive feature. So please look him up. And other than that, thank you, Tony. We will, like I said, everybody, our listeners, follow us at buildwithicf.com. Reach out to me and let me know if there's anybody that you're wanting to have on, any suggestions on the show. We're always looking for those. Don't forget to post up on Instagram your picture. We're giving away shirts and swag to anybody for Build With ICF. If you tag us in your post of you watching the podcast or downloading it or something, tag us in a podcast and get your name put in for some swag. But other than that, thank you very much. And Tony, I appreciate your time, and I will see you guys on the next episode.
All right, great. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem.